All right, shalom.
Shalom.
Tonight, I want to speak from a subject or teach on a subject titled The Temple of YAH. Okay, or the Temple of YAH. Y'all say that with me. The Temple of YAH.
Yeah.
Yahuwah or Yahuwah has a temple. And in the Holy Manuscript, we see this temple go from what is called a actual temple. Well, it's kind of interesting. It actually starts off sort of metaphorical. Y'all know what that means? That it's alluded to first. And then the temple is then what's called templified. So we go from being alluded to like there is a temple, but we don't see nothing, right? And two, actually, we'll look in the scripture to where we discover in Genesis that Abraham actually called a place by the word temple, even though there was no building. And then we remember Jacob. You know, Abraham had Isaac, and Isaac had Jacob. Then you remember when he wrestled. Jacob wrestled with an angel. And after the wrestling was over, he was in a weird place. He said, whoa, I done wrestled with something, whoa. And he put up stones. And he literally said, I'm calling this place Bethel, which is the house of Yah. And Beth is house, right? We learned that from our Hebrew study. And El is Elohim, right? The Elohim. So the house of Yah was a place that didn't have no walls. Did you get it? Isn't that strange? Had no walls, had no foundation. It was at that point. It was, and this is key. It was the place where he met Yah. So it was a place that he met Yah, not necessarily a building. As we continue to study the manuscript, we see that the children of Israel end up in Egypt and had to stay there for 400 years. Cruel taskmasters, babies being killed, brick without straw, whips and lashes, murders. They cried to the Most High. The Most High called them out of a house of bondage, right? Then brought them into a wilderness and gave them what we call a temple, or better yet, a tabernacle. And that word tabernacle had to do with it would be a dwelling place or a meeting place. I'm almost about to shout. My lesson almost over, y'all. I'm starting to feel too good already. It's a meeting place where Yah chose to meet with his people and to speak with his people, and his people would speak to him. And notice something about the tabernacle. Notice something. That the tabernacle was mobile. So Yah could meet with them on the mountain, right? And then he could tell them, all right, build this tabernacle. Then he could go down in the valley, and they could meet there. They could pull up the tabernacle and walk 20, 30 miles, set it up in the wilderness somewhere, and Yah would meet them there. Actually, he was leading them and meeting them, if you want to be more accurate, because he led them by a pillar of fire by night and a pillar of cloud by day. So he was leading them, and then he was telling them to stop. They would build the tabernacle, the Shekinah, which is glory. Well, the word we use of the Ruach, the Spirit, the presence of the Most High, would often fill the place, the tabernacle, so that it would let everybody know that Yah's presence is here, which shows us something very, very important. Again, is that when we think of a temple or a tabernacle, we have to think in the beginning, when we think of it, we have to think in terms of something that was more metaphorical that was mobile, but nevertheless, it really didn't matter exactly where it was as long as Yah met you there. I felt something. Y'all didn't feel that? I felt something right there. Because, I didn't want to shout this soon in my message, but it's a good thing to know that he's everywhere. Talk back. All the time. Right? So the temple becomes, and here's your little definition as far as location. The temple becomes what we would consider to be a focal point. It is a centralized place or a focal point whereby you can see Yah. You can hear Yah. And you can commune with Yah and he with you. It becomes centralized. So you get a tabernacle. So what you want to do, if you want to see how Yah is working and where he's speaking and how you find the tabernacle and you go in the tabernacle. And then later it becomes a temple. But then we know the temple gets destroyed, right? And the people are dispersed. And so and that becomes symbolic. And then the temple is rebuilt and the people are gathered again. And then unfortunately, it's destroyed. But we're going to look at that in the few moments that we have left. And the few moments we have left. Yes.
I had a quick question. So we're talking about that in Corinthians. It says, don't you know that you are the temple?
That we're on our way there. Matter of fact, that's where I'm going with this lesson, because this is very important to our understanding, you Hebrews, of how we fit in the eternal plan of the Most High for such a time as this. The word in Hebrew is hakal. If you want to spell it in Hebrew, you can spell it. It's simply Hey, Yod, Kaf, Lamed. We know what each of those letters mean. I won't spend a whole lot of time with that, but Hey means to behold. So automatically you already know that whatever this thing is something that should be looked at.
Right.
It's something that you should see it, but it also points to a particular thing. It could be a temple or the temple, right? All right, then you have Yod, which is the hand, right? And the hand represents what? The Yod?
Hard work.
You don't have to guess. It's right there on your bulletin. What's the Yod?
Hard work.
Work and deed. All right, so you know that there's something about this word, hakel, that has to do with work, right? And then, of course, you have the kaf, and that is?
Sun on the high.
Palm of hand is the picture, but then what else?
Sun
behind. No, not the kuf, the kaf. The kaf is
the open hand.
But I gave you another definition. It's to receive blessing or to give a blessing. Remember, that's part of that picture. You see it always on the first column.
First column?
It's at the bottom.
Yeah.
So what does it say?
Palm of the hand
To open.
Palm of hand to open. So, right, to receive. So now you're getting a picture of a temple from a Hebrew perspective.
Okay.
It's visible, right? It's a place of work. It's a place where we receive.
Right.
It also is a place where we give, represent the palm, whether it's turned up to receive, or it's turned down to be a blessing. Yah blessing us. And then, of course, the lamed. Look up the lamed.
The staff goes towards control.
It says what? Staff.
Staff goes.
It means to goad or to prompt along or to control. So the idea then represents leadership, to move into a particular direction or to follow. So now look at the picture that we're getting from just the word hakel concerning Yah's temple. And when you put all the letters together, obviously you're gonna come away with a very beautiful picture of a congregation or an assembly of people that are under the power and authority of Yah, giving and receiving blessings from Yah and being a blessing while following him. So that is what a true temple is. All right. So we know that it is a place, but the place can be moved. We know that it is we know it's metaphorical, but we know it's actual because there was an actual temple.
Right.
But let me share something with you tonight, in the few moments I have left, about the way the Hebrews thought about their own temple. Because there was no such thing amongst the Hebrew Israelites of temple worship. Ooh, I said something. Y'all better write that down. No. They never worshiped a temple. They never worshiped a building. They never worshiped the wood, the stones, the marble, the gold of the temple. Matter of fact, the Hebrew never even thought that the Most High himself could even dwell in the temple. But don't believe me. Let's read our verse. Let's read our verse. 1 Kings 8:27. But will Elohim indeed dwell on earth? Question mark. Can the creator of the world dwell here? Question mark. Behold, comma, the heaven and the heaven of heavens, plural. I'm reading right out the Bible. Watch this. Cannot contain thee. Y'all need to write that down. So we know that how can Yah live on earth when heaven and the heavens, heaven of heavens, can't contain him? And this is what he said. It's right in the Bible. Much less, he said, come on now, this house that I've built it. King Solomon said, listen, when it's all said and done, all this gold, all these pillars, these wonderful rooms, these fantastic decorations, these beautiful carvings, the wonderful courtyard, the symbolism of the bulls and the ox and the menorah and the holy place and the holies of holies, as well as the ark, the angelic beings with their wings stretching from one side to the other, touching. It was one of the most magnificent structures that earth had ever seen. As a matter of fact, it was, what's the word that is, it was propaganda. Write that down. David, true now, David had became king, and the message of Yah had went all over the world because he subdued all of his enemies. You do know that. He was a great King David. And David had a problem because he said, we got the greatest Yah in the world, and yet we worship him in the tent. All these other nations have these great facilities that they go into, these big temples and these, huge palaces and these huge shrines and places like that. And yet here we are, Yah has blessed me to be the greatest king and subdue all the enemies, and we're on top of the world now. And when we go to, can I just say it like I want to say, we over here meeting in a storefront and everybody else got a church. We in the community center and everybody else got a church. You know, we're struggling. We're out here meeting, sleeping in tents and stuff, and everybody else got you get it? A big, huge, impressive building. David said, I don't like that. I know what I want to do. I want to build YAH a house, a permanent structure. And so he put it in his heart to build YAH a temple, which would be stationary.
And impressive.
Now, please understand, it would be, what word did I use? Propaganda. It would be advertisement.
Right.
Write it down.
Right.
It would be advertisement. David said, what I'm going to do is, I got to get away from this tabernacle. I mean, this sheepskin and goatskin might have been in, 500 years ago. This might have been the thing, But now, temples are in. And therefore, YAH needs a temple. And he wanted to build it. And YAH wasn't upset with that. But you do know that he didn't order it. Oh, but don't believe me. Open your Bible. Let's look at 1 Corinthians. No, I'll tell you what. Let's look at Chronicles, but we'll pass that one. Let's look at 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 7. It's good to see you, the Nut family in the back. Shalom.
Shalom.
Let's look at that. 2 Samuel 7:7. Because you're not supposed to just believe whatever I say. If you got it, somebody got it?
In all the places wherein I have walked with all the children of Israel.
Wait a minute, hold on. 2 Samuel.
Chapter 7.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
In all the places wherein I have walked with all the children of Israel, spake I a word with any of the tribes of Israel, who I commanded to feed my people Israel, saying, why build ye not me a house of cedar? Now therefore so shalt thou say unto my servant David, thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, I took thee from the sheepcote, from following the sheep, to be ruler over my people.
Okay, pause right there. This is what YAH is saying. He said, you do know I've been dealing with my people ever since I gathered them out of African Egypt and gave them my laws and statutes and precepts. You know I've been talking to them this whole time without I didn't need no building to do that, right? Matter of fact, I didn't ask any tribe to do it. I didn't, there's 12 tribes, and I didn't go to any one of those tribes and say, hey, y'all, when you going to give me a house? He wanted everybody to know something, that this was put in the heart of David. This was not something that YAH said, I got to have me a house down there so y'all can come in and worship me. That was not his intent. But he saw that David had a good intention. David was like, but this would be a great witnessing tool. This would be great propaganda. When people drive by and see this big, huge building with all this gold and all this silver and all this wealth and all these impressive carvings and things, they'll be like, whoa, YAH is it. And the Most High said to David, he said, you know what? Because you love me and you're doing it from a pure motive, I'm going to go ahead and let Israel have a temple. But you can't build it. And the reason that you can't do it is because you done killed a lot of people. Whether it was in battle or whether it was Uriah's blood. Nevertheless, the one who builds something that's going to become propaganda for me, that's going to be sort of a witness, an advertisement to me, it can't be you. He said, but I tell you what, I'll let your son, one of your own sons, build it. I'll let a son build it. And of course, when we end up is with King Solomon. Now, tonight, I wish I had time to go over this whole building process because it is impressive. Oh my goodness, it's impressive what he does. Solomon goes completely off when he builds this thing. Solomon was eccentric, which means he wasn't dealing with he didn't build a temple with stuff from Walmart. No, he wasn't shipping nothing from China. Y'all with me? Or Taiwan. Or Peru. No. Everything was pure.
First class.
It was first class. High dollar. Yeah. I'm trying to tell you. Cedars from Lebanon. Right. So we know that this was man's attempt to impress other people. Mm-hmm. And so Yah says, okay, I'm gonna let you build it. But just understand something. Number one, I didn't ask for it. Mm-hmm. This is something that you're doing. And number two, understand this. I personally am too big for your little building. So as long as you keep that in mind, that I can't fit in here. And you're gonna talk about me. I don't, brick and mortar and stone and stuff like that can't house me. And Solomon knew that. So what ends up happening is they build a temple based on the design of the tabernacle. Don't have time to teach that lesson tonight, but you know the tabernacle was the mobile temple, as I mentioned, that was built to specific specifications, because all that what y'all think is flyover country when you read it. Everything about the tabernacle is significant. Now, at this congregation, we went through every line. So we know about all the hooks. We know about all the curtains. We know about the rods. We know about the holy place. We know about the menorah. We know about the altar. We know about the washing basins. We know about the gates, how to get in and how to get out. We know, so we've gone through that, and we saw that is already a picture. It points a picture of our salvation. We'll get to that in a moment. So when King Solomon built the temple as the meeting place, he took the pattern from the tabernacle and I can't say this word because this is going out worldwide. So I don't know how to say it, but he funked it out. How do y'all say that without saying funked it out? He took it and modified, jazzed it up. That's a good one. That's jazz in there. He elevated it. He boosted it. He didn't violate it. He boosted it. It was the most magnificent structure. It was the construction of the temple. And it was then called the house of Yah. It was also called the Temple of Yah. But remember, both of those terms go together because remember I mentioned that with Yah, everything is based on family. So even if it is a tabernacle, it's still a place where the family gathers, right? So it's still called a house or a bet. So even if it's a temple made out of gold, to Yah, it is still a house. And that is important. How come that's so important? Because the master of the house, or the Aleph of the house, or the Elohim, or the El, the mighty one, the father, the Abba of the house, his concern, watch this, is not so much for the temple itself, but the behavior, I'm saying something now, of the children in the house. And so therefore, you will see that Yah says, when the house got finished, he says to our third king Solomon, He says, okay, I agree to do one thing. I'll put my name there. But you better listen to me and listen to me good. I'll put my name there. And y'all go whoring after other gods. I'll put my name there. And you start worshiping all this paganism. And you start doing everything that's outside of what I've commanded you. And you put aside my commandments and my precepts and my laws. Please get this straight. I will bring this place to rubble. And when people walk by and look at it, they'll wag their heads and they'll be in disgust and be in shock of the condition of the mighty, of the great tabernacle or the great temple. And then they'll be asking questions. Why has Yah done this? And then he said, I'll answer because of the sins of my people. In other words, the tabernacle was fantastic, but as far as Yah was concerned, if the people were not fantastic, y'all with me? Yes, the temple is holy. But as far as Yah is concerned, if the people ain't holy, what's the point of the temple being holy?
Because it's his dwelling place, it represents him.
So watch this. It's going to go together. If I have to destroy my people, I'm also going to destroy the tabernacle. And if I have to restore my people, then I'll also restore my temple. So watch this. If I have to destroy my people, then I'll also destroy the temple with them. And if I have to gather back my people, then I'll also rebuild the temple. Do you get that? Because the temple will now be an extension, a physical, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be connected to the people. Yeah. Oh, y'all online? Okay. Y'all got that, right? Now watch this. So he says, you got to walk before me. If you don't believe me, turn to, because I always say, let's back up everything in the Bible, right? Ain't no reason to be listening to me. Come on, I'm just somebody reading like you. I'm just a little lowly moray. 1 Kings chapter 9, let's look at verse 4. 1 Kings 9 and 4. Should be right after Samuel, after 2 Samuel. First King, chapter 9. I'll start at verse 1. Y'all ready? Verse 9, chapter 9, verse 1. And it came to pass when Solomon had finished the building of the house of Yah and the king's house, and all Solomon's desire which he was pleased to do, that Yahuwah appeared to Solomon the second time, as he had appeared to him at Gibeon. And Yahuwah said unto him, I heard thy prayer. Remember he said, Yah, would you please, put your name here and dwell here? Remember he asked that. And if my people would turn to you in times of trouble, and he said, I heard your prayer, man. I was listening. And I heard your supplication that thou madest before me. And this is what he says. I have hallowed this house. I've set it apart. I've made it holy. That's what that word hallow means. Which thou hast built to do what? Y'all reading with me? To put what?
My name.
He said, I'll put my name there. Now remember, he's too big. But he said, I'll put my name there. I'll put my name there. How long?
Forever.
And mine eye, and mine eyes, and my heart, talk back, shall be there.
Perpetually.
Always.
I keep trying to tell people, I do not understand how a person can sit back and read this and then say, oh, but that was back then. He don't mean that for today. And that same preacher will turn around and get up and say, God is the same yesterday. He's the same today. And he's the same tomorrow. If he's the same yesterday, and he said, my eyes will be there perpetually, you do know that means it's still there today, and it'll be there tomorrow. It means it don't stop. It means it keeps going. He said, Solomon, I heard you. I didn't order this. I understand it's propaganda. I understand it's advertisement. Now let me give you a Christian word. I understand it's a witness.
Yeah, that's it.
But if the witness gets messed up, I'm tearing it to the ground. But don't believe me. Let's keep reading the next verse. And if, talk back,
Thou wilt walk
For me,
as your father David walked, come on,
in integrity of heart
and
and
upright
righteousness
to do according to all that I have commanded thee.
and will,
Keep my statutes and my judgments.
then
I will establish the throne of thy kingdom upon
Israel forever.
as I promised to David your father, saying, there shall not fail thee a man upon the throne of Israel.
keep going, y'all, because this is good. But if you turn, you Hebrews, you Hebrew Israelites, but if you stop worshiping me and you turn away from me, let's see what's going to happen.
You are your sons.
It's right in the Bible. I don't even have to, listen, we ain't got to make up nothing, y'all. It's right here. And it's always been here, by the way. All right, let's look at it. But if you shall turn from following me, ye or your children, and will
not keep my commandments and my statutes, which I have set before you, but go and serve other gods and worship them. Then will I cut off Israel out of the land which I have given them.
wait, whoa. Then I will cut off Israel out of the land. Didn't I tell you he's going to deal with his children first? He said it right here, which I've given them, and what? And this house. I want you to let that sink in. If y'all act a fool, this thing coming down. Why? Because the real witness is not the gold, not the wood. It's not the ivory. It's you. Keep going. Okay, which I have hallowed for my name, will I, it's right here in your own Bible, cast out of my sight. And Israel shall be a what? Proverb and a byword among the people. Nigger, coon, spook, porch monkey, jigaboo. Y'all gonna be a byword. Everybody always gonna have a joke about you, about your nose, about your nappy hair, about your black skin. I tell you what, it's gonna be a hiss. You're gonna be on the bottom. They're gonna talk about you bad and treat you bad if you don't follow my laws and my precepts and my principles. He says, and I will cast out of my sight, you should be a proverb. That's that idea of, like I said, people will sit around and make up stories and things concerning you. And a byword among all people. And at this house, which is what? And everyone that passes it shall be what?
Astonished.
And shall do what?
Yes.
They're going to look and go, Just like today, I don't have time to deal with that. But whenever we look at our holy Jerusalem today, and you see that there is no temple there. Why? Because when the people got scattered, the temple was destroyed, just like he said. And guess what? Every single time it has happened. It happened when Babylon. They came down and what? Broke down the walls and tore down the temple of Jerusalem. They were then delivered and was allowed to rebuild the temple. And then they got back in it, and y'all know under the Romans, it was destroyed again. But what happened first? The people were persecuted. And they've been scattered ever since. And now when people go to the land, they don't look and observe a beautiful, great temple in Jerusalem. No, when they go to the land now, everybody does this. That's a dang shame. Is there any ruins? What happened to it? Now, we do know that the Europeans got a little wall over there they claim is part of the original wall, but it's not. The Romans built that wall. That's a Roman wall up there. That's not the biblical wall of the Temple of Jerusalem. So how do you know? Because the Hamashiach said, it won't be one stone left upon another that will not be thrown down. And when you look at that wall, you see a whole lot of stones left upon another. Matter of fact, they go over there and wail and shake and put little things in there all day. There ain't no wall, baby. It's gone. Just like he said it would if the people forsook him. He didn't have to make nothing up. He just kept his promise of what he would do. And it has been done. And this is what they say. Verse 8. Why has Yah done this to this land and to this house? He said people are going to be walking by shaking their hand and wondering, what happened? Why did he do that? And then verse 9. And they shall answer, because they forsook Yahuwah their Elohim. Them Hebrews would not stay in the book. They had to get outside of Torah, and they had to turn their back on Yahuwah. So much so, some Hebrews won't even say his name. They can't even fix their mouth to say Yah. You try to say Yah, don't say that, don't say that, don't say that. They can't even say Yahushua.
No, they won't.
They have him in such contempt that they will tell everybody, don't keep his laws, don't keep his principles, don't keep his precepts. We are free from any of his instructions or any of his teachings or any of his doctrine. They have accepted another Hamashiach, just like Rabbi Shaul warned us about when he said, I'm worried about y'all. He was talking to the Hebrews that was kicking it in Corinth. He said, I got a problem with you guys because you always on the fence. And I'm worried about you because it's so easy for you to be persuaded to do something outside of what Yah has said. So after I done hooked you up with the Hamashiach, who you do know kept all the principles and precepts and commandments of the Most High Yah, you're gonna take on another Hamashiach, thinking that you got the right one. But this one's going to be telling you ain't got to keep none of his laws, precepts, principles. He'll look like light, but he's really Satan. That is 2 Corinthians, I think chapter 11 or 12. It's right in the back. He said, don't trip on it because that's what the devil does. He always comes with a counterfeit.
Yeah, he does.
But I don't want to get off my subject because I'm almost done. But you all, I'm dealing with the temple, the tabernacle. But I want you to see how Yah has always regarded this place and how the Hebrews understood. Listen, this is the beginning. This is as soon as he prayed. They hadn't even had good worship yet. They celebrated. They had a big party. But when everybody left, Yah said, okay, come here, Solomon. It was a lot of noise and everybody was shouting and everybody turning flips and they was eating lamb and, and fatted calves and drinking that good red wine. And man, y'all had a good party. But now that the party's over and everybody's and it's getting quiet, let me speak to you in very plain Hebrew. You keep my precepts, y'all can stay. And the house will remain. Break them, y'all gonna get scattered, persecuted, talked about, a byword and a proverb. And when the people walk by and see the ruins of this place, they will hiss. And they'll have a question, what happened? And the answer is right there. because they forsook Yah, who brought them forth and their fathers out of Egypt, and have taken hold to other gods. First King 9, verse 9, took hold to other gods. Are you kidding me? Are you telling me that Hebrews would actually grab hold to another God after Yah, the great Elohim, has brought them forth out of slavery and bondage, brought them to a land of milk and honey, houses they didn't have to build, vineyards and orchards they did not have to plant. All they had to do was just keep giving him honor, praises, and walking in his precepts and principles, and they would have been fine forever. But no, they wanted Christmas for the children. What in the world is wrong with us, Zion? Instead of teaching the people the biblical things to do, we decided to get in the land and take on the ways of the heathen and bring, watch this, the pagan idols into the very house that you dedicated to me, knowing that the rule was, if you don't follow my precepts, I'm gonna tear it up, and I'm gonna kick y'all out, and I'm gonna tear the place down. You knew that was the rule, and at the same time, you brought a Christmas tree in here anyway. You brought a Tammuz tree, if y'all don't want to forget the Christmas for now. That was later. It's the same tree. It ain't no difference in the tree. It ain't no difference in the custom. I just talked about that on the last Shabbat. The custom is exactly the same. One tree just happened to be from Palestine or happened to be from Africa, and one tree happened to be from Fresno. It ain't no difference in the custom, no. Once a year, you're going to go out, cut something down, bring it in the house, decorate it with silver and gold. Put a little stand on the bottom so it don't fall over.
We haven't done that for the last.
Oh, you're going to do it. He said, now watch this. For 21 years, actually now 26 years, I've been teaching against this. But you know what I said to myself? I never had it, by the way. But the individual people that was under me was doing it anyway, even though I was saying not to do it.
That's true. That's true.
Right? And I didn't really say nothing because I didn't know. I thought everybody was following the pastor, the preacher, and following the Bible. I didn't know the folks were saying, I don't give a damn what he says. I didn't know that. But secondly, what I didn't realize was, watch this, that as soon as they distanced themselves from me as preacher, pastor, they thought they could distance themselves from the word. So almost everyone who was under that teaching for all that time, right, went to some type of temple that allowed it. And they liked it. And they helped decorate it. And then they told the people what they were doing back in those days was paganism. What we doing today is Christian. If it was pagan, are y'all talking to me? Now y'all talking back. If it was pagan then, come on. It's pagan now.
Same thing, don't change.
The record said the custom. But watch this. Them Hebrews are following in the same footsteps of their stiff-necked and hard-hearted ancestors that got us kicked out the land in the first place. Solomon, the one that built the house, was the first one that brought a pagan symbol in the house.
Wow. That's right.
And guess why he did it? Because he married a woman who said, baby, what about the kids?
Yeah.
He married a woman that said, baby, it's just a tree. What is the big deal? It's just eggs. It's just food coloring and eggs. It's just chocolate. What is your problem? It's just a costume. They're not really devils. They're just dressing up like Satan. Come on, man, loosen up. And Solomon was like, but Yah said, no. They said, you know what? Yah won't mind if we only do it maybe 3 or 4 times a year. We don't have to have it in the temple every day. Let's just bring it in during Tammuz's birthday.
Which is December 25th.
Which happens to be December 25th. Let's just do the egg, say, around Estarte Day, which is actually Easter. Estar. Let's do it at that. Let's not do it every week, but let's make sure, let's just do it during those times. And Solomon being weak behind the women. Y'all not mad at me, are you?
He was weak behind the women.
Y'all still love me?
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to tell the truth. Said, okay. All right, just one. Just one. Which one y'all want? We want the tree. Okay, put the tree in. And y'all leave me alone about that. And next time somebody said, another one of his wives said, you let so-and-so put a tree in there. Well, where I come from, we had a star. It's called a hexagram. Can we put that in there? No, that's going too far. Oh, baby, see, I thought you was a great king. Now you being unfair, showing favoritism. All right, go ahead. You can put the hexagram in. Oh, you got the hexagram and the star? Well, where's the Easter baskets? And you know it didn't stop, right? Because there is no end to that kind of foolishness. I told you that the Bible says literally it's stupid. All of it is just absolutely stupid. But it's one thing for individuals to do it in their own homes because they're stupid. It's quite another for the king, y'all better hear me now, to allow that foolishness in the house of Yah. And in one generation, Sabre, the kingdom of Israel split in half.
Right, it did.
And you do know Rehoboam and Jeroboam put the whole nation into a civil war. And a bloody civil war that lasted a long time. And eventually, because of that foolish idolatry, they got kicked head first out the land, just like Yah said they would. And that beautiful temple of King Solomon was not only brought down to the ground, but all of the vessels in the temple were taken and locked up in houses right next to the other idol gods. If you don't believe me, read Daniel. Daniel talks about Belshazzar was a king. And you know, he wanted to prove to the world how big and bad he was. So he wanted to drink wine out of the spoils he got out of Jerusalem, which was in the cabinet right next to Dagon. Being honest. Went down there, man, pulled him out, and Yah said, that's it for you. Hand came out of no fingers. Wrote on the wall. I read it. The boy bowels came loose. He crapped his drawers. His knees knocked together. And he asked Daniel. He said, call somebody to read the handwriting. Nobody could read it. He called Daniel. He said, man, can you read it? He said, of course I can read it. He said, that's my daddy's handwriting. Every son know his daddy handwriting. He said, can you read that? He said, yeah, I can read it. And what does it say? He said, brother, you in trouble. Because you think you heavy. That's the whole point. But Yah has put you on a scale. And guess what? You lightweight. This is your last day on planet Earth. I don't know how I got way over there. Y'all made me lose my spot. Oh, I was talking about the destruction and how the temple down in Jerusalem was Solomon's temple. This great temple was ransacked to the ground. And you do know it was never again built to the glory of King Solomon.
Right.
Man, I can't believe this lesson is going so long. Y'all give me just a couple minutes, because if I don't get to this point, then the people online are not going to get it. So I'm gonna go fast now, and then I'll cut it off, and we can pick it up maybe later when we talk. All right, but this is what I want you to see: that the temple would only be honored by the Most High if the people were acting honorably. The temple would be holy and set apart as the people were holy and set apart. So as the people go, so goes the temple. That was the agreement. Y'all read it yourself. That was the covenant he made. And he kept the covenant. When the people got kicked out the land, the temple was then destroyed. Right? So then they come out of captivity under King Cyrus, and they're given permission to rebuild the temple. But the temple is not up to par, and the people are weeping and mourning because some of them were old enough to remember. Because remember, Babylonian captivity was I shouldn't say only, but it was 70 years. So let's say, for instance, if you was 10 years old or 12 years old when you went into captivity and you happened to live through it, you're only like 82, 83 years old. And a lot of people live to be that age or older. And they said the elder people, or the old people who were there, who remembered the way the temple looked before they went into captivity, they wept. Mm-hmm. When they saw the rebuilt temple, they were like, oh my God, y'all did all right, but oh boy, this is nothing like it was. And then, of course, we end up getting another person who was Herod, and we'll get to that in a moment. But I just want to show you that the temple was not only constructed, but then it was also destroyed. And the people were driven from the temple, and the whole purpose of them being driven from the temple was just like they were driven from the land. It was because of disobedience. So the exiles who lived through Babylonian captivity came back. They attempted to rebuild the temple, but when they got back, something had drastically changed in their heart. Everybody had become so selfish. Haggai talks about that. See, when they built the first temple, everybody was bringing whatever they had to make sure that the temple was right. But Haggai said, this time around, the people are really different. Everybody's fixing their own houses and pounding them and making them all nice, but they're letting the temple just be in ruins. And he said, so what I'm going to do is, watch this, I'm going to ruin them. Remember I told you the people are connected to the right. He says, man, when they go out and work real hard and they get ready to pull their money out their sack or whatever, I'm going to blow on it and it's going to disappear. And when they decide, okay, I just better keep it in my bag and I won't spend it, he says, I will have them putting it in bags with holes. And yet the question is why? He said, because you're selfish. The temple is going to waste, but you're only thinking about you. And that's normally the case with post or exiles, people who are post-exilic. It's just a big word to say. People who have come out of slavery or come out of exile normally say, I don't care what happens to the nation, I got to make sure it don't never happen to me. Mm-hmm. I got to make sure that my house and my money and my bills is paid because I'm not going to ever trust you to be right. Because I thought all y'all was through with Christmas trees. I thought we grew up from that a long time ago. I didn't know y'all was still dealing with Saint Nick and Easter bunnies and stuff like that. So guess what? I'm going to focus on me, and you're going to focus on you. That's, we say that now, right? You do you. I'll be me. And Yah says that selfish attitude spilled over to him even. When they said, we're not going to fix your temple. We're going to only do. And it was not a positive thing to Yah. It was very negative. Just like today, it's hard for us to get together and do anything positive as a group because everybody's so focused on themselves. Which, by the way, is one of the reasons we started a ministry here called the Ark. It's one of the things we do here is called the Ark. The Ark is to be that temple, that place. Because later on I'm going to show you, well, not tonight because time is up, is that the temple is not wood and stone, is what I'm trying to tell you. It's the gathering of his people. And so what we decided to do is try to create that so that we could have a unified effort to keep the laws and commandments and precepts of the Most High Yah, just like we kept the feast at the house and some other things, but we'll talk about that a little later. All right, so there was reconstruction of the temple, and then, of course, there was some great lessons learned, and that is, number one, that Yah, the people are connected to the temple, and that as the people go, so goes the temple. But there was also some things that we need to learn about the temple. The place called the temple was supposed to be a place where we received instruction from Yah. So it wasn't just a building, but it was supposed to be a building that was for work, it was for learning, and it was for also gaining insight. So to stay away from the temple meant you were in darkness and in ignorance, right? And being in the temple represented you were in light or in knowledge or wisdom. You get it? So it became synonymous with your experience as a Hebrew. So when David said that I might dwell in the house of Yah forever, he was talking about the worst place to be is outside of the family of the house. Remember, there was no physical temple at that time. It was a tabernacle, but it was still called the bed. It was still a house. He said, I want to be in the house because some very important things happen in the house. We receive blessings from the Most High in the house. We receive protection in the house. We receive all of our nourishment in the house. The sacrifice for our sins is found in the house. Like I said, instructions, precepts, principles, all are in the house. We learn how to love Yah and we learn how to love each other in the house. We all have chores. We all have abilities and skills, and all that stuff is then shown in practice and exercise where in the house, right? Everybody, so it became the center point or center focus. As a matter of fact, one of the writers, he was in Psalm 73, I think it's Asaph, but y'all can look that up. He was writing a psalm and he says, I was in great confusion because I was outside the temple and I was watching how the wicked prospered. And it seemed like the righteous always was struggling. And I started wondering, is it better to be wicked than right? He said, and my foot almost slipped. In other words, man, I almost decided to just become a wicked. I almost slid back into being wicked until, he says, I went into the house of Yah and I saw their end. So the house also became a place where Yah would open the minds of the people to what's coming down the pike. The future events. So guess what? When you come to the gathering place, one of the things that happens is you're constantly told about current events and things that are still to come. You learn that from going in the house. And he said, I stopped envying the wicked because Yah showed me something. They end up in hell. He said, so I'm going. All right. Last thing, Yehoshua, go ahead.
Then that Psalm 73, also it speaks about it in Psalm 37. I remember because that was special for me. It says, why does it seem like the wicked are winning? He said, it only appears that way.
It only appears that way. But when you go in the temple, he reveals it. All right. I've been here a long time, so let me just give you these. We will expand on these later. Matter of fact, I want to pick this up. So when you get into what y'all call the New Testament, remember I told you it's not new, it's just true. You will see the birth of our Hamashiach. When you see the birth of our Hamashiach, you're going to also see that the temple of Yah does not resemble the temple of Yah at all. As a matter of fact, out of the Messiah's own mouth, it had become a den of thieves. It had become a place of robbers. It had become totally overtaken by evil men. And so what I'm going to show you then on next week, because this is the Feast of Tabernacles, that's what I was trying to show you, is that you're going to see that there's going to be a great need for another temple.